So by now, I'm sure you guys are aware of the massive GameFreak hack that happened and how there's like a terabyte of information that's just slowly leaking more and more as we're learning about past generations with like scrapped beta Pokemon, scrapped Pokemon designs, how some of the trainers look like in their early stages, just information about stuff that was going to be in the game and got scrapped. And so we're learning a ton about the games, but even some leaks in terms of like the anime, potential Pokemon movies, things that were going to happen within GameFreak themselves. And then we've also even learned about future projects like Pokemon Legends ZA, which we still don't have any official information about aside from the announcement trailer, and even stuff about the 10th generation of Pokemon, which is going to be coming in the future. Now, I've already made one video giving an overview of all of the information that's leaked from GameFreak in terms of like the games, the anime, just some of the big information that's come out. And so if you haven't seen that video, there should be a little eye up in the corner right now. You can go ahead and click or tap on that, but I'll also have it in the outro of this video if you want to go and watch it after you're done watching this one. This video isn't going to cover anything from that video, so we're only going to be talking about all of the new stuff that's come out since that video was posted. And once again, we're not going to look at like every single beta Pokemon design or like what some of the early concept designs of some of the trainers look like or anything like that, because if we really spent time analyzing all of those images, it would make this video into like a 4-hour long video, and that's not really what I want, and I don't really find that type of stuff super interesting anyway. But if you want to go and check it out, I do have it all in my Discord where we've got people talking about it all the time. There's actually a special Pokemon Leaks chat that we have, so you can definitely join my Discord, link below in the description. You can come on in over there and you can chat with the people in there who are sharing all of those images there, but I'm not really going to talk about it in this video. So in the last video, everything kind of went up to Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. So now we pretty much had information about Pokemon X and Y. So we can kind of see here some of the beta designs for like the trainers and stuff. So we can kind of scroll up here and kind of see some of the early like prototypes that we've got for like the games as well. So I'm actually going to show you some of these videos this time because I've seen other people doing it, and apparently I guess these videos are not getting striked. So you can kind of just see here some of the basic kind of prototypes of what Pokemon X and Y look like with these miniature models and just a very basic UI before the final version was created. And yeah, I mean, besides that, we've got like a lot of other beta Pokemon designs, but here was another big thing that actually came out, which was Mega Jinx is confirmed as a cut Mega Evolution in Pokemon X and Y. It had the Magic Guard ability. Now it looks like these are the stats for it right here as well. 65 attack or 65 HP, and then attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. So I'm guessing it was like a really fast sweeping special attacker. Like it was somehow going to become really fast. 135 base speed is crazy, and then 105 special attack, and also a lot of special defense too, assuming that's what those stats are. So you know, Mega Jinx would have been pretty cool. I think like seeing especially with like a lot of the Kanto Pokemon getting them. We had like Mega Alakazam in there, Mega Gengar and stuff, so Jinx would have been pretty cool. Maybe we'll see Mega Jinx in Pokemon Legends ZA if that's going to be like one of those designs that they get to bring back into that game. So that's cool. And then we've got here a lot of these other kind of just files. We've got like kind of these basic stand-in versions that they used of like pictures of Pokemon when they just couldn't like get the actual 3D models in. So that's kind of funny as well. There's a bunch of concept art for some of the characters, more kind of just like beta versions of like the prototypes with like how you play and stuff like that too. We've got images. Here was something really interesting, which was the low HP music that we had in Pokemon Black and White and Black and White 2. It seems like Game Freak was actually going to use a version of this for Pokemon X and Y, and you can hear that right here. I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of a banger, and I kind of wish that they went with this. Like, this is actually pretty good. I mean, this is a beta version of this, and it sounds kind of nice. So yeah. I was always a fan of the low HP music. I wouldn't have mind if they kept that as like a staple moving forward with every generation after, but it kind of sucks that there was going to be one in X and Y, and I guess they just didn't decide to add it in the end. Then we've got some more images here that got leaked, and then we've got other stuff here that came out too with like the anime. And here's the cool thing about the anime as well. We've got some concept of like what Ash's cap was going to look like with the design on it. But here's one of the craziest things that came out, which was that apparently Paul was going to be a part of the anime as like Ash's partner. Like this is crazy because this is Paul right here. We can see Paul with his Chimchar. So in the Diamond and Pearl anime, the original concept of it was gonna have Ash and Dawn traveling together, and then also Paul with them. And then I guess they changed that out for Brock to come back from Gen 3 and stuff, which I think was much better because in my opinion, Paul is still like one of the best rivals that Ash has ever had. Now, I will admit I have stopped watching the Pokemon anime after I think after like Gen 6. I didn't even watch Gen 6's all the way through. I kind of stopped halfway in there, but I remember when like there was speculation about Ash potentially winning like the Pokemon League during Gen 6, I was watching it, but the point is, I think Paul was one of the best rivals that Ash ever had, especially kind of like the story throughout Pokemon Diamond and Pearl's anime, and just kind of how like Paul was always treating Ash so meanly and everything, and then like how he released his Chimchar because he thought it wasn't powerful enough, and then Ash raised it into an Infernape and then beat him with his own like Pokemon and stuff. It was just very pure cinema when I watched that as a kid. But it's kind of interesting that they originally thought that he was going to be kind of like a partner for Ash, and then they made him into like this really kind of crazy rival that they had like this big rivalry between. But yeah, so that's kind of the stuff that we have with the anime. Just some other stuff here too. And then moving forward, we've actually got some crazy stuff with Pokemon X and Y, which is that after more than 10 years of debate, Southern Kalos is confirmed and was scrapped in development. And like this was kind of the biggest revelation for me because for so long, we've talked about the possibility of like there being Southern Kalos or like basically like an extra part of the post game of Pokemon X and Y. And we can see right here, like this was like fully fleshed out area. Like you've got a lot of these different areas to go through. There looks like there's different cities and landmarks, and it looks like they had a lot of stuff that was planned out. And then I guess it just didn't happen. And I mean, it definitely did seem like Pokemon X and Y, like the post game was very, very lackluster. It was very scrapped, and it seemed like it was very kind of just rushed and put together. And I'm assuming that's because of the development. Like obviously X and Y was the first generation moving into 3D. They had to create entire 3D models for all of these Pokemon. They had to have all of these animations created for the moves instead of like the sprite animations that we had for like how Flamethrower and Thunderbolt and stuff like that looked like in Gen 5. So they had to do a lot of effort for Gen 6 specifically. And so I guess because of that, and then creating these Mega Evolutions and all this other stuff, they just couldn't get to do the post game. Because coming from Pokemon Black and White and even Black and White 2, like both of those games have really good post games, so lots of extra things that you can do. Coming to this where all you have is a couple of looker missions, like it was definitely very kind of disappointing to go to that. And that was like one of the big things I remember about like me not liking Pokemon X and Y when I first played it. Was I remember after beating Diantha, I was like, what do I do? Like it looked like the game was basically over. So this is really unfortunate, seeing that all of this was apparently planned and then I guess it just got scrapped. It's even more unfortunate that it wasn't going to be in like a part of Pokemon like Generation 9's DLC either, because we can see here it connects directly into the Paldea region, because obviously that's how France and Spain are connected together. And so it's unfortunate that we didn't get to see anything like that. I wonder if Southern Kalos is going to be incorporated into Pokemon Legends ZA. That would be really nice if they managed to do that. Now it also says here the X and Y information and some for Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire is going to keep coming. There's still a lot that will be released, but after that the leaks are going to focus on Switch games. So I'm assuming the leaker also has access to the Switch games, so we could be getting leaks for like Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, Pokemon Sword and Shield, maybe even Scarlet and Violet. So I guess that makes kind of sense because we're getting stuff about Legends EA and we're learning stuff about like some of the other stuff with like Generation 10 and stuff too. So it really is kind of a leak here with just everything. And here's some more information about Pokemon Legends EA. So the first thing that we've got is Stunfisk is in the game. So of all the Pokemon, Stunfisk fans, all three of you out there, your Pokemon is in the game, so congratulations. They said here the shiny sound from Pokemon Legends Arceus is back, which I'm very happy about. So if you guys remember, like when you're walking around in Pokemon Legends Arceus and you would just hear like that little ding sound to know that there was a shiny Pokemon nearby, I really loved that feature, and it looks like it is coming back into this as well. And then the leaker was saying apparently the game was very enjoyable even with the lag, and the leaker is not planning to release any more details about the game. So in this sense, I'm actually kind of happy that we're not learning about this. Like, apparently, if the leaker does have access to all of this, they don't want to share us like images and what the starters are and all of that, which I'm actually going to give them props for, because this could honestly be a disaster if with like Pokemon Legends ZA, if this was a leaker who wasn't really super kind of reserved like this with the information and just full on like showed everything with like images, like we could have had a lot of stuff that might have had to get changed. And we've even got Riddler Koo, who actually made a tweet about this, which I'll put up on screen for you guys right now. Now, Riddler Koo was saying that apparently because of what happened, like there could be different things that could go on because of that. And so I think what that kind of means is, like, depending on how severe these leaks are, especially for Legends EA and stuff, Game Freak might even have to like redo kind of a lot of the entire game and story if a lot of other major stuff comes out. So the leaker right now seems to not be sharing that information, but if they decide to, it could get really kind of dangerous for that type of stuff. So we'll have to see what goes on there. And then we've just got kind of more information about just some of these like other beta versions of towns and what we kind of see from that. And then besides that, I mean, we basically just have kind of like some of the other versions of like what shiny Pokemon were going to look like. We can see here what shiny Pokemon looked like when you were first going to send them out. So this was interesting. It looked like shiny Pokemon, I guess we're just going to stay shiny the entire battle. Like we can see these sparkles. We're just going to be there for the entire game, which is kind of crazy. Like the entire battle would have just had these shiny sparkles if you had a shiny Pokemon. But then it just became like more of that star feature that we had with the Gen 6 games, where like you would send them out, there'd be like that big shiny star and then it would go away. Besides that, I mean, we've got some other kind of just beta Pokemon and stuff, but here's some other information that we know now of Generation 10. Spoilers about Gaia Gen 10 setting from a conversation the anime producers had with Game Freak back in 2022 include some light spoilers for the anime, as they had some concerns of some of the anime ideas overlapped with the ones for the next region. And so if we take a look at this, it says right here, Lakuya originally had hot springs that Pokemon loved, and many Pokemon, including legendary ones, visited there. As a result, the energy of many Pokemon dissolved into the hot springs, making it a special place. Submerging it was also a way to address concerns about it easily discovered via satellite imagery. Making it an island overlaps with the ideas for an upcoming new project, so we'd like you to avoid that. Omori says we're planning to develop a game with an island theme after Titan, which is Scarlet and Violet, so it would be better if it didn't overlap with that. We understand that from Mr. Morita's briefing. We also want to avoid overlapping with the main project, but we'd like to hear any ideas on how to avoid this overlap, perhaps changing the scale or the size of the island. Omori says it's hard to explain without going into too much detail, but the next title that we're working on involves thinking that about what can be done with an island, and this might overlap with that. Iwao is saying here, just having an island doesn't necessarily mean it's a major concern, as we've depicted islands before, like in Pokemon Sun and Moon. However, if Lokoya is many of islands, it might overlap with what Game Freak is thinking. We're imagining a remote and isolated floating island. And then Iwao says we'd prefer to avoid the idea of stopping by other islands on the way there. And then Omori says here, the idea of Pokemon living on islands, adapting to their environments, and affecting the island's environment with their power feels like it might overlap. The island setting seems to be a way to avoid human attention, so perhaps that's where we should focus the conversation. If we can avoid using an island, that would be ideal. If not, we should think of ways to avoid overlap. If the story revolves around the ancient turtle, which is Terapagos, if the story revolves around Terapagos using its power to hide the island, that might overlap with what we're thinking. The Terapagos originally lived in Area Zero in the Scarlet and Violet region. Lucius met it when he visited Area Zero. They arrived together at Lakaya, so there's no plan to make them journey through other islands. If we avoid the island, maybe it was originally part of a peninsula that became a floating island after some event. It's like somewhat like a hot springs in Pokemon the movie Coco, though special hot spring is in the center of the island. Should we explain the origin in more detail? Personally, I understand the idea of there's various types of islands, but the idea of the island having value or being a special place because of a Pokemon's power seems to overlap at first glance. It could be hidden from the outside world without sinking into the ocean. That would be ideal. So basically from all of this, what we're learning here is that Generation 10 is definitely looking like it's going to be an island game. And that's what we heard about from the prior video that I made as well. Like they were saying it is going to be an archipelago of many islands. And with the codename being Gaia, a lot of people are thinking Greece once again, because Greece does have different islands around it. So it could be a Greece region, but you could just think about any other countries and stuff, I guess, with just a lot of different islands. And it seems like that could be basically what they're trying to do here with Generation 10, as that seems like what they're really kind of talking about a lot with the theme for Generation 10. And especially if they're going to be expanding upon this with like what we've seen with like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet being the first ever open world games, like I'm assuming Generation 10 is probably going to be open world as well. I think it would be really weird to have open world with Generation 9 and then devolve back down to having a linear game again with islands with Generation 10. So if Generation 10 is really going to have a lot of islands and it's open world and you get to choose like which island you want to go and visit and you get to go through all the islands in your own order and stuff, that sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, especially on the Nintendo Switch 2, having next generation hardware, just seeing kind of the leaps that they can do for how the Pokemon models are going to look and stuff too, because even though Pokemon games don't look the best, they are slowly improving in terms of how they look. Like I would say that Scarlet and Violet, with how the Pokemon models and stuff look, are better than Sword and Shield, and then they're also better than like what we had in Gen 7 and stuff. So slowly they are improving, and I'm sure like with a brand new system and having a whole new generation, they should be better for that as well. So I'm interested to see what all of this could mean for Generation 10. So yeah, that's pretty much all the new information that we have in terms of leaks about Pokemon X and Y, and kind of just other information that we know about Pokemon Legends ZA and also Generation 10. Now it seems like the leaker is going to be planning to release more information, so if we're starting to get more information about Legends ZA and Gen 10, and then we also learn some other stuff maybe about like with the Switch games, if we start getting major stuff about Pokemon Let's Go or Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet, I could follow up this video as well and make like a part 3, but I just wanted to cover kind of these major things that we knew about coming from the other video with the other new stuff that came out. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel, as well as I'm definitely gonna have some more videos about Pokemon, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think about this. How do you guys feel about all of this information? How do you feel about the stuff with Pokemon X and Y? And what do you think about this information with Pokemon Legends ZA, and then also the stuff about Generation 10? Definitely be sure to comment your thoughts down below, but if you don't have anything to say about it, just comment your favorite emoji down below for some engagement. I would really appreciate it. Go follow me on Twitter at @Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.